reminded me.
Uh-oh, yikes.
Oh my.
Sorry.
Uh-oh, let's see. Wow. Oh, wow. Let's see. Darn it. Could this have been recorded at all? Or not?
No, Jeff, sorry. I just started.
Well, let me see. What can we do here?
Sylvester has to say that all over again.
Oh my God, let's see.
Sorry,
Mercury
I
is very
couldn't help it.
retrograde these days. It's just these
Um,
things happen. I think we need to just move on, and those
Okay.
who wish to reshare can reshare, and we'll be just okay in the now, I think.
Yeah,
Yes,
no,
I
I was
agree.
just thinking that some people might want to know the email and kind of get a little background on the subject. Well, maybe that could be posted at some point.
Or I can share, one can read again.
Yeah, we don't necessarily have to read it, but just post it, because some people might want to know what we're talking about here.
Okay.
And they'll be able to stop their recording and read this, so that's fine right there. Okay, let's go back to Tony.
All right. Well, Jeff earlier shared before they started recording about being asked to come to India, stay in India, and maybe he'll want to repeat that later. I'm just commenting that what that triggered in me. I'm not ready to address this whole subject on a broad level, but uh, Baba clearly wanted me to come to India. I'd been there in between his birthday and Silence Amar Tithi in '82, and clearly wanted me to be there the following year in July for Silence Day. And there's a story that would show that. But anyway, so I was there, even though there was a drought and the Pilgrim Center was closed. But I knew Baba had called me to be there at that time. And so we stayed at Vilu Villa, a handful of us. We had the Mandali to ourselves in a very low pressure atmosphere because there were no other pilgrims there hardly. And in Mehrabad, each one of us had the samadhi to ourselves for hours at a time. And I knew the question was on the table of whether or not I should come to that. If I wanted, I could be a resident in India. I kind of knew that. And Baba wanted me to work it out. And I spent hours in the samadhi going over it with Baba. What I got clearly was, you're welcome to stay. You're welcome to stay where you are, but you have to make a choice. I'm happy for you to be in either place. And eventually, in talking it through, I got clarity that I would love to stay. On the other hand, when I imagined that, I knew there were things that I needed to do back in the West. And I wasn't sure exactly what they are. They had something to do with my creative work, but I really couldn't put my finger on it. And probably, and having a family, that was probably in there also. But it felt that if I stayed, I would feel torn at some point. And Baba said, "Well, that's good. I mean, not obviously not in words, but I got his okay, and that's what I did. And I didn't ever look back, and I'm kind of grateful about my choice now. But that's all, just that little bit. I may have something to say on the broader issue of making decisions with Baba, but just that piece that resonates with yours.
Yeah. Excellent. Oh,
Bob.
Yeah, what you said, Jeff, about just getting getting stuck and going back and forth and not being able to really see one's way to a clear decision really resonated with me, because I mean, it happens to me all the time. And lately, I think what I find is that Baba finally gives me the time to work it out in some way or another. The latest example of that for me has been a few months ago. I met a disabled veteran that lives in my town, about 10 blocks away from me, and I've been trying to help him out with various things. He's in a rental situation that isn't very good. The landlord might be, he's got 3 bedrooms in his house and they're all rented to different people, and it doesn't seem like the best situation, and advantage might be taken. And I've had some meetings here at my house with the disabled veteran and people from the VA, trying to help him with appointments and this and that. And he wanted me to help him straighten things out with his landlord regarding rent, because the landlord wanted cash. And Patrick, the veteran, was really uncomfortable because the landlord wouldn't write him a receipt. And Patrick didn't want to have all this cash around, so he'd leave it with me. And I didn't want to. I thought, Baba, what is this? I can't. So I'm going to try to make this as short as I can. There was a meeting set with a person from the VA who kind of knew about this situation, and had suggested that I call a free legal services and set up an appointment with Patrick, and maybe call a phone number with an organization that actually intervenes when disabled people are being taken advantage of. This was driving me crazy, because I thought, what if I do this and the landlord says, okay, Patrick, you can't live here anymore, you have to go. That would mean that I caused that. I would feel responsible for that. What am I going to do? How would I handle that? I went back and forth and up and down and asked Baba over and over, what should I don't understand what should I do? Well, what Baba did was cancel the appointment with the representative from the VA. Patrick called me and said, I didn't sleep. I can't meet today. And so I called the VA rep and said, we can't meet today. Let's get together next week instead. And in that time, I got some clarity. And, Baba set it up so that I wasn't feeling under so much pressure. And I was able to sit and really think about it with sort of my head and my heart, and think, that, okay, I want to help this guy as much as I can, but I don't want to be responsible for him losing his place. I don't want to be responsible for unintended consequences. So I called the veteran representative who was going to come here, and I said, here's the deal. I know that you are empowered to make those phone calls if you feel they are necessary. You're going to have to do that if you feel it's necessary. I will not make that phone call and get the police involved and whoever else needs to be involved, because that would make me responsible perhaps for Patrick losing his place to stay. And he's not being physically abused. The landlord might be skimming here and just sort of not declaring this money. But for now, Patrick has a warm bed and a place to stay. If you feel it's necessary to do something, you do it. That's not my responsibility. And that felt really good. And I thought, okay, we're set. And so I was back to taking Patrick to the store and being friends with him and helping out how I could. I really felt that was the right decision to make. But so sorry for such a long story, but in my experience, that's how Baba gets involved with my life. He doesn't answer right away. He sets things up so that even though I might still be worrying, and though I really want to leave results to him, and I tell him, here's what I've done. I leave the results to you, and yet the mind goes da 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 da. But then eventually, it works out in a way that I can go, oh, okay. Thank you, Baba. You did set that up. Forgive my foolish. I mean, I'll give one other example. When I was living in Richmond, Virginia years ago, I had a job with a shipping company. This was way back in, geez, I don't know, 68 or 69, 67, no, 69. Anyway, the job ended. They closed the office. And I had the opportunity to go to India. The first mate, because my job was helping out the sailors. I'd take them shopping and I'd run errands and I'd do this and that. And I spoke just a little bit of German. Ein bisschen Deutsch, just enough to, kind of get along and maybe help out with things. And the first mate of the Ostrich Schulte said, Bob, you come along with us now. You don't have a job anymore. We'll drop you in Rotterdam and you can go your merry way. Because I told them that I kind of wanted to do some traveling. And my idea was to get to India. Well, just before I made that decision, my old school pal, John Hobson, turned up in Richmond, Virginia, at where I was staying and said, hey, Jaeger, let's go for a bicycle ride. And I said, oh, okay, let's do that instead. So I sold my car. We came back to Denver. We got on our bicycles and pedaled to Canada. It was quite an adventure. But when I look back on that, I think, Baba saved me. Who knows what trouble I would have gotten into on my own in those days in Rotterdam, the drug capital of the universe. Would I have actually made it to India? I think Baba made that decision. I thought I did, went on a bicycle trip instead of going to Rotterdam, but that was his doing, not mine. So thank you, Baba.
Yeah, beautiful. No, we all have episodes like that have happened. Yeah. Anyone else? I wonder if we could get Vesta to share that again. I mean, if there's nobody coming forward. Vesta, you're back in the catacombs there somewhere on a previous page, on the next page. Uh-oh, we may have lost her. Let's see. Anyone else want to venture on?
Okay, I got it.
Oh, good.
Okay, and I won't be so rambly because I just awakened from a sleep and was a little goofy. When I'm faced with a decision and I'm talking both hard and easy decisions, I put the problem on the table and I say, Baba, this is really your problem. And I need you to help me solve it and get through it. Excuse me. So I'm going to put on one side of the table, one end of the table. Okay, here's some solutions that seem ideal to me. And over here is the decisions I don't want to make because they're too hard for me to make and I'm afraid of making a mistake. So what Baba reassures me every time is, you're my child and I love you and my compassion is on you. So whatever choice you make, there's no right or wrong decision. So don't worry about it, because if you make a decision that's not the best and it works out, good, then you've solved it. If it doesn't work out, don't worry, because I will never let you stray away. And so what I do is all the options that seem like practical and based in love, and I'm not like being like, if somebody hurts me, I'm not like plotting to get back to them, get back at them. And so I look and I go through that folder and look at the reading that I read, some of the stuff that I've written that have lessons that I know are important for that moment. And I'll make a choice. And then I'll go over on the other side of the table and I look at all the options. And sometimes I'm so gagged by what the choices are, but I have to make a choice out of that pile of resolution. So when I make a choice, I say, Baba, this is what I think is the best thing. And he said, okay, go try it. And don't worry, you can't make a mistake. And if you do, and you're still crying and sobbing or whatever's going on, I'm here to help you and make a course correction. And it's just a little tweak, you know? So I don't pay attention to what I can't have and don't want. I take that off the table. And then I look at what my choices are and try and meet them. Okay. So it's like when I make a choice, I know I can't do anything wrong because that's his promise. There is no right or wrong. There's just different ways of resolving conflict in your mind, your heart, different ways of getting back into balance mentally and emotionally. And he knows that I want to stay spiritually focused. And especially now in my life, I don't want to be concerned about, oh, if I make the wrong choice, what's going to happen to me? Am I going to die? You know, and he assures me that that's above my pay grade. I'm just to pay attention to being as loving and kind to myself as possible, because that's how the Lord is with me. And if I'm good enough to be seen as kind and gentle by the Lord, who am I to disparage that gift that he's given? Who am I to poo-poo it? Who am I to fear any choice that I make, because there's no wrong choice? And I know the covenant I have with him is I trust that whatever choice I make, as soon as it starts to impede my progress toward him, which is all our goal, you know, is to get closer to him, I know that I cannot make a mistake because he won't let me, because there is no such thing as a mistake. There's just a better choice or a different choice or a different energy that I need to grasp onto to get back into the swing of that cradle that he's got me locked in. And so I remind myself that I'm already his, I'm already in his cradle, I'm already being balanced by him through his love and mercy. So I fear, so like the New Life says, fear nothing and no one. So now I never face a decision. I shouldn't say never. It's rare that I face a decision that I'm still in turmoil when I make that decision, because I know at least I've made a decision. At least I'm course correcting myself to the best I can. And if there's an error in judgment, that's okay. He'll pick me up and put me back on the right track. And then I don't have to be a runaway train. I can imagine myself back in balance. And so there's comfort I take in that, knowing that he would never let me stray. And like that night when Baba came in my room and I had that experience with Mara and Saint Teresa and Gustaji at Arnavas's house, I know Oh, I'm so sorry. I know.
Let's let, oh yeah, go ahead, but let's see what Marion has to share, because there are probably other people. But
Okay, so that's it. So that's it. So never fear making a decision. He'll never let you go down the wrong track.
yeah, I like what you say, Vesta. That's really a great assertion in the middle of this crazy world. Yeah. Marion, you're muted somehow.
Okay,
There you
okay,
go.
I want to time myself because I don't want to go on too long, because I could go on for hours and hours with 55 years of making decisions with Baba. So I'm kind of focus and give something that is dear to my heart right now. And that is, of course, it depends what the decision is. And right now I'm under a lot of stress in my life. And so I call it my default position in understanding my own human personality traits. So that's one of the things that I've learned this from good teachers, my own personality traits of my higher self, my lower self, and my mask. And that is very liberating to have those tools, because one of my default position is going to fear. And fear is the opposite of love. So I can feel it, and I'm trained in bioenergetic, core energetics. So I can find it in my body, because whatever manifests in my body has manifested after I had the thought, then it's in my subtle body, then it's in my physical body. So what I can feel physically in my body, where the fear is it up in my shoulders? Is it in my gut? Where is it? Is it in my jaw? I can then breathe and trace it back to my thought, because it's from those thoughts that I create all that stress. So then I can go to what the conflict is. So I do that. And then I have some other tools. I call it my toolbox. So I can tell, even though I say Baba's name and I do all my, repeating his name and the different things, there's sometimes the mind chatter starts getting in and pushing away Baba's name. I have to bring Baba's name back real fast. And it makes me kind of smile when I remember Baba had one of his mandalis say it so fast, no mind chatter could get in. So I'll do that. And then I do have some methods I've been trained in, and one is called, and that is this EFT, emotional freedom tapping. And it's accelerated versions now that have come through channels to accelerate people's therapeutic processes. So you're not 40 years on the couch speaking to a therapist. It's very accelerated for this accelerated time. So it's tapping on these centers around in my head, chest, all these glandular systems to release cellular memory. Now, cellular memory, I may have released a lot of things in my life psychologically, but they'll remain in my cells, because memory is not just in the brain, it's in every cell. So I'll do my tapping, and I've learned emergency tapping when I'm going down the street is across the chest, the heart, and the lymph system to release toxins from worry. And also at the karate point on my hand, tap there, because that's connected to the intestines, which we now know are very much part of the immune system. And that's where I hold a lot of energy. So I'm releasing where I'm holding this energy, so I may hear Baba's guiding me through intuition. Sometimes I hear a voice in English, and that's very sweet. And at times it's intuition. So that's what I rely on, is the clearing. And so sometimes what I'll do is identify these various voices in me that are there, such as my little girl, Marion, who's saying, because if I may have some opportunity that is so expansive and beautiful, and there's a part of me in there that says, no, I won't. I'm not going there. I will not expand into anything else. I like being here, even though it's dull and I have fear, it's familiar. So I allow the no to have a voice, and the yes has a voice. And therefore, and there's another one, a criticizer in me that says, you better do what you're being told to do, and you better follow and do that nice thing. So when I distinguish these voices of the criticizer, the little girl, and my higher self, I then automatically shift into that higher vibration, because my intention is to be there and listen and allow and for Baba's guidance, who will never, I know that Baba will never let me go. So that's pretty much it. That's as much as I want to
Oh.
share now.
Beautiful, great dynamic. Yeah, internal.
Sri Raghavan.
Hey everyone.
Hi.
Hi Jeff.
Hey.
So I think for a while I used to try to do the whole like, what would Baba do kind of like routine in my head. And I think after a while, because the mind at the end of the day is as much as it is a smart kind of organ in and of itself. And what I kind of noticed internally was that it kind of caught on and would try to masquerade as Baba sometimes, and give me kind of like this false sense of security that like made me think I had reached some decision that was driven by thinking about Baba, when in reality it was still a false illusion driven by the mind. And so I decided to not do that anymore. And what helps me nowadays, or like, I guess rather is most effective for me is, and I love Baba, but for some reason, I become the most still most quickly when I look at a picture of Sai Baba. And I think that's because I have a childhood connection to him. But if I look at a picture of him or just meditate on him for a few minutes, I feel like a lot of the activity up here just subsides and you're left with like a more calm inner state. And I think that more calm inner state gives you more clarity to make a decision. So it's gone away more from like a, what would Baba do, and relying less on the form of him and more so tapping into like that inner energy that is him inside all of us. And I don't think that's something that I realized until honestly like a few months ago when I was going through some stuff in my own life. But for me, it was really impactful in the way that I looked at problems and decision making, and for me just helped me get more decisive answers in my life.
Yeah, beautiful. In other words, when the mind kind of calms down, you know, that you can kind of see clearly what's being indicated. When that, yeah, beautiful. You described it quite well, I would say.
Heidi. Heidi, sorry.
Did you say my name?
Yeah, you have to do it a
Yeah.
little louder, JC.
How you doing?
Yeah,
Hi,
go ahead.
everybody. It's good to be here. I usually can't be here at this time. I saw the topic and I made a way.
Yeah.
It's good to see everybody. But you know, this decision making with Baba, so I've been with Baba for over 50 years too, and it changes. I like what everybody said. It gives you ideas. Right now, I think the basic thing I do right now is go into the silence with Baba. Usually, Baba will reveal what I need to do pretty quickly, and that feels good. And of course, as Vesta said, if you choose something that's not quite right, he redirects it. And you could re-choose. It's kind of nice. But I play with Baba now, and I look for Baba clues. I look for clues. And I find as I lighten up a little bit, because I can be pretty anxious about decision making, that Baba plays with me and it comes quicker. And for example, when I was dating my husband and I wasn't sure whether the relationship was whether it was something I should do or not, even though there was an attraction there, I didn't trust it. And we went out to dinner. And I asked Baba to just give me some clue. And a phrase came in my head was, "Your ship's coming in." And I'm like, What's that? I don't even understand that for me. And when we walked into the restaurant, my husband's into boats and ships, and there was this big model of a boat in a case. And my husband Kurt said, "Hey, look at that ship. It's so great." And it was all detailed and everything. And I looked at the ship, and the name of the ship was Heidi. Coming in, Heidi. And I'm like, hey, okay. And I knew that, and I started to get into this clue thing with Baba, this communication, this dance with Baba. You know, be anxious, then step back, go into silence, then play and hear Baba and look for a clue. So that's what I do. And it can be kind of fun sometimes, you know, you get into Baba's zone. As people said, you can't make a mistake because he redirects it, but he's talking to us all the time, telling us what to do. I would think. Now, I have a practice too of I read my wish. If I'm not hearing Baba, or I'm too nervous or something, I can't play, I'll go to my wish and read it, and that usually, for me, reveals a direction. And a couple other things I wrote down to share that were kind of fun.
That,
Oh yeah, one time Baba said,
the 6 wishes that Baba's, that's Baba's my wish, right?
yes,
Okay.
do not shirk your responsibilities.
Yeah. Suffer in the
It
suffering.
helps a lot. It kind of brings some clarity because then as I read it, I can see, well, is this my responsibility as, you know, or is it someone else's? Or do I have to help them? Do I have to help someone else embrace their own responsibilities? I mean, it just brings clarity to the whole thing. What's my part? What's theirs? And it works out nicely. I like it a lot for me. One time, Baba kept giving me this image of a traffic light. You know, I had to figure this out. And I thought, oh yeah, if I sense or feel green, it's a go with it. If it's red, no. And if it's a yellow, maybe you need a little bit more information before you.
Yeah.
So that was a nice little image that Bobby gave me. One time, I was really nervous and upset, and as I was like running around trying, what do I do? You know, I got to focus on Bobby. And my bookcase, a shelf in my bookcase, completely crashed. And I'm like, what's this? Oh my God, I got to put all this together again. And I did. And a couple of the books that I didn't really have a real place for were old Japanese haiku and play books that I bought as a kid. And I love that stuff. And I opened it up, and there was a whole chapter on Japanese no plays, N-O-H. And I said, oh, there's the clue. No, Bob, do not do this. This is your answer right here. No. You know, you play, you know, you pay attention, and Bob works with you. That's what I do at this juncture. You know, it's that kind of a thing. So I thought I'd share that with you.
Yeah, beautiful.
And a couple questions I asked myself too for my professional life and what I do in life. This has been a good question for me when I'm indecisive. I ask Baba, well, where will I give the best service to myself or others? And now, as I age, the self part is becoming more prominent than service to others, a self with a capital S. That's kind of new for me, but it's working nicely. It's pretty balanced. Then I ask myself, Bob, sometimes I ask Bob, what questions do I have to ask you to get a clue here? And one time he said, the question came to me, where do I belong? That was a real biggie. Where do I belong? You know? And the answer came with that question, but I wasn't sure. So I just thought I'd share that.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, thank you. I like to say, there's so many different ways that people
Yeah.
access, you know, guidance from Baba.
Yeah.
Some people like they'll see numbers. If they
I
say,
saw,
if they see four numbers like 1111 or 444.
yeah, I have that. Yeah.
Oh, that's so yeah, you have your antenna out there and you pick up some of these
Very good. Very good.
signals. Yeah. Anyone else want to venture out? Too bad we don't have Rainey here to read little Francis Brabazon.
Paula.
Oh, good, Paula, yeah.
Maybe. I'm not very good at this. But Baba kind of does have to take care of it in my life. I've told this story before, but once I did make a decision. I was really young. I wasn't married yet. And I was gonna move from San Diego to Flagstaff. And it was and I packed everything in my car. I'm about 20 years old or something. Oh, I can tell you one thing though. If I had known when I first found out about Baba, which was in my very early 20s, if I had known that I didn't even know I could write to the Mandali. And then I went and I was helping Agnes Barron and up at Marymount, and she said, "You can write to Mara." And I was like, "What? I can do that?" So that started. But what I knew was there are a couple things in my life. If Mother Teresa came to my high school that I wasn't at yet, I was still in grammar school, the year before I went to that high school. If I had been there when she came, I would not have ever had my children. That would have been what I would have decided to do, would be to join her order. If she would take me, I don't know if she would have taken me. But anyways, there's things like that Baba just took care of and he needed to take care of. I was on this, I was going to move to Flagstaff and stay with some friends. And on the way in the mountains, not very far from San Diego, but I pulled into a gas station because my car was heating up. My car was acting really weird. And I had somebody look at it and he says, "I can't find anything. It seems to be okay." So as I'm pulling out of the gas station, this is what Baba has to do with me. He's in front of me. His face is in front of me. And he's really loving me, but he's shaking his head no. And I'm like, oh. So I kept going. It's like, what? What am I supposed to do now? So I kept going and I argued with him all the way to Gila Bend, which is quite a long ways. And then at Gila Bend, I turned around and I said, "Okay, Baba, but everybody's going to laugh at me." And he said, "No, they're not." And they didn't. They were glad to see my face. So, but anyway, it's like Baba in my life has, things have not been very clear. Things, it's like there's been a lot of survival in my life. A lot of put one foot in front of the other and hope for I kind of close my eyes and hope for the best and see what Baba's gonna do. But it's like I walked in the house the other day and I leave Baba music on when I go from my dog. And I walked in and the song that was playing was "Your Faith Will Not Be Broken."
Ooh, yeah.
Baba's done that a couple times in the last week, It's just and he puts, it's like if I don't have freedom yet because of my little dog, and it's like nobody wants to take care of him, so I can't go anywhere until he dies. So it's, or, you know, or some places maybe, because I've got some things that maybe I want to do. But anyway, that's how Baba takes care of me. He just shows me that it's okay to be on the stupid train. Vesta talks about the stupid train. It's okay to be on the stupid train, and he'll guide me anyway. And he always has. He's always taken care of me. He's always given me. I have had to make some really big decisions, you know, on pretty much on my own. Like when I sold my house and everything, you know, I had a sick husband, and there's a lot of things that I have done that affected my whole family. But Baba always, you know, kind of unravels it in front of me. I don't know if that makes any sense. It's pretty rambly, but
Yeah.
anyways, Jai Baba.
Yeah. No, we can relate to that. Now, I wonder if Diane could share what she said previously. I don't know, just because we lost her a beautiful sharing. Oh, she might be off somewhere.
No, I am. I'm here.
Yeah. I mean, what the first part of this was not being recorded, so we missed what you said.
Oh, okay. I will try and recover my brilliance. That Stephen Sondheim in his musical Sunday in the Park with George has a song called Move On. And Bernadette Peters' character sings, "The choice might have been mistaken, but choosing was not. Move on." I forgot to add the move on part the other day. And that has helped me a lot, especially turning things over to Baba, because a lot of times when you're teetering on that wall of decision, which way do I go, this way or that way, you can also freeze in your steps. And I have a history of being frozen. So turning it over to Baba, and at the suggestion of waking up every morning and saying, "I turn my life over to you, Baba," it's with such a leap of faith, because I'm someone who believes if something needs to happen, I'll make it happen. But sometimes I don't need to be in the driver's seat all the time. So how's that, Jeff?
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's beautiful. I mean, like, you're turning your day over to Baba does settle a lot of the decisions you might have to make in the course of the day, except, you know, when you come up against like more crucial things. But when you get to our age, we don't have as many crucial decisions. But, you know, maybe toward the end of our life, we'll have to make some big decisions, I'm sure. Yeah. I mean, what I'm wondering, should I go share my thing again or not? Okay.
Yes.
Well, if I can remember now. But one time in Mandalay Hall at Marizad, someone asked Erich, how do we know, or how do we determine whether or not what we're about to do would be pleasing to Baba? And, you know, the guy asked that kind of very sincerely, and Erich surprised us by saying, love would never ask that question. Now that was that was a unique answer. And, you know, so that's like a challenge. And I did resonate with that, because I know that when my mind calms down, the loving decision is clear. But there is a turmoil that goes on, sometimes for days. And so, you know, like I say, when I have difficulty making decision, I usually see it as a struggle between my mind and my heart, or between what love is saying and what self-interest is saying or wants. But the thing that makes it difficult is I never know which is which. Sometimes what I think is loving is actually self-interest, and what it seems like self-interest or selfish is actually the loving thing to do. And I had thought of an example of someone, you know, I'm like very exhausted, and a friend asked me to help him in their garden. And I kind of say yes, you know, without really thinking. And then afterwards, I find I'm like really exhausted. And even my exhaustion is compounded all the more, and I even feel a bit resentful. And I realize, you know, that to say no would have been the loving thing to do, even though it seemed like selfish. And saying yes was kind of just going along with the shoulds of the mind. You know, the mind, you should help the person out. So, but anyway, so then I thought of my own battle one time with making a decision. That I was here, this is about 30 years ago, and Bao Churi called me and asked if I would come and live there and help him out. And I just said yes. You know, I mean, he wouldn't have asked unless there was a real need and everything. And so, yeah, and so then a couple of weeks went by, and I was not getting the go-ahead. My body actually, you know, like Diane was talking about it, freezing. My body, I couldn't get a flow and everything. And that plunged me into an agonizing turmoil, mental turmoil. Where is the love in this thing? And where is the self-interest? And I thought, well, self-interest might be being here, staying at the center. It's all familiar to me. I know the people and everything. Going to India is like a huge adventure, and that's the unknown. And maybe I'm just afraid to go to the unknown. And, you know, so I went back and forth with this thing for 3 months. This was, he called me kind of before, at the end of the Pilgrim Center season. So I had 3 months to kind of make a decision before moving to India. And like I say, this was just agonizing. You know, what is love indicating here? And so, and it was a decision at a very high level. You know, Baba, you know, really hit me with something that was way beyond my depth as far as discerning what would he want? What is the best thing to do here? But after about 3 months, my mind finally subsided, my mind and heart battle, and my mind quieted down, and then it was obvious right there. And I called him up and I said, no, I couldn't come, I'm sorry. And I didn't look back. I knew I had made the right decision, even though it seemed like a little bit crazy. And then about 10 years later, Erich and Merwan asked me if I kind of pleaded with me to come and live at Marizad, and I just had to say no. I had worked all of that out, and I knew that Baba wanted me to stay here, not move to India. And I haven't looked back. But anyway, so this is my part of my process is the struggle between the mind and the heart, or between love and self-interest. And I have to kind of find out which is which. And when I do, things calm down, and then the decision is clear. So, well, maybe not always clear, but so far it has. Anyway, that's my share.
Martha.
Yeah, Jeff.
Yeah.
So I've heard you tell that story a few times. And I just don't have clarity how you came to this decision. Maybe I won't. But 1 Mandali Bao, 2 Mandali Erich, 3 Mandali Merwan, and you said no. I don't understand. What was your process? I mean, it seems to me the loving thing would be to go to do that. I mean, it's not my life. I wouldn't go to India, that's for sure. But you know, you practically live over there anyway. But so I don't understand. What did you actually, what was the process? Was it just waiting for an internal answer or something? Because
I mean,
two
it was,
times, you know?
yeah, it was like, it was, heart and mind were just in agony. I mean, just going, turning it over and over, seeing, trying to see it from different angles. And, you know, like I say, what is Baba saying? What is that voice? What is the voice of the mind? What is the voice of the heart? I mean, like I said, I spent 3 months at that. But like I say, when the mind finally ran out of gasoline, when it stopped and I was in peace, I could just see it was clear right before me. I was no longer looking through all this static. I could actually hear the melody, so to speak.
I guess the part that's hard for me, it's hard for me to comprehend saying no to a mandali.
Yeah, no, I did. Well, that's what it is. That was the amazing thing. I just
know,
didn't think
that's what,
I just thought,
I mean, I'm not judging you or anything. I think it's an impossible thing, but I'm just curious how you say no to a mandali when it happens twice to go to India.
yeah.
I mean, I really give you a lot of
Exactly.
credit. That must have been really, really hard.
It was, yeah, because hey, why would you ever say no? But
Well,
Mm.
you've
unless
got to be
Baba-
honest.
yeah,
When you're honest, things just roll the way they should roll. And honesty really is the best policy. And can you imagine if he went and was there and then started to act resentful? So it's much easier than we realize to do the right thing, because you know, despair creeps in pretty easily. And it would have been horrible to be in that holy sanctuary where God lived
yeah,
and took up residence with his close ones, and you're resentful that you're there.
yeah. And you know, an interesting thing, after I said no to Bao, I was with John Connor one time, and he was assistant to Bao for a number of years. And he told me that he only got, all those years, he only got to go out to a restaurant and have a dinner with somebody once. I'm thinking, oh man, I don't know about that. I mean, he was so bound to that, you know, he was like, his life was so circumscribed with practically no freedom. So when I heard that, it's like, oh yeah, I really did make the right choice, because I would, you know, I would like to have a little more freedom. Like once in maybe 8 years or something, he got to go to a restaurant and have dinner with somebody. I mean, I don't know about that, you know. So anyway,
Patty,
yeah.
Patty.
Hello, Jai Baba, everyone. And gosh, I sure enjoyed hearing everybody's offerings this evening, and resonated with so many of you in the sharing of how do I discern, or how do I come to a decision in my life. And once again, I'll say I can only really speak from the now. I can look to what has happened from the lens looking past over the years. And in the beginning, love was the infatuation. So most decisions in those early years were made, I really believe, by innocence and ignorance. And I would deal with the consequence as they appeared, because I did not quite understand very much as I do now. And I've really come to what Jeff is saying and what a lot of you are saying. When my mind is involved and the emotions are ranting and raving and all of that, a decision never appears. There's personal interest, there's contrast, there's fighting, there's resistance. And until I ask the question, what would love do? Which I've gotten from being in all these Zooms for over these years, these past years, it now has become very clear to me, the heart will always give me the answer. And like several of us here on the screen, I went kicking and screaming with some of my major decisions in my life. And the decisions that came easily were when I surrendered to just watching what was happening. And the clues were all there, you know, that all the clues came forth. And it was really, it's been very beautiful for me. And one example is my marriage. I don't know how to say this, but my marriage happened without me hardly knowing it. I mean, I was in love with my husband, but not, he wasn't a Baba lover. He wasn't, you know, I swore in the early years, I wouldn't marry anybody but a Baba lover, I'd be single. And all of a sudden, this thing was happening. And actually, Baba kept me out of it a lot, which is weird to say. And then all of a sudden, and he was so willing to let me have Baba and Mara at the wedding, of dedication to them, altars set up, begin is how I came down the aisle. I mean, all these different things that were being requested and were being attended to, all just happened. And I really see that Baba wanted me to marry this soul. And I see from hindsight how perfect it was. But it was like something I wasn't participating in. And that decision happened. I mean, when I said yes, I couldn't believe I was saying yes in the beginning. You know, I mean, I don't know how to explain this because there were many people in my life I would have loved them to ask me to marry him. But this was just a circumstance. And so he made it easy, and he's made it easy all the way through. And then we've had, you know, complications with, you know, diagnosis, not unlike Vesta, you know, a round of cancer and now another round of cancer and blah, 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 blah. And now I just leave it all to him. I mean, seriously, if I think I'm going to think the decision, I just say, okay, I get this. It's all in your hands. So please help me discern and see what you want me to do now, because that's the only way I can operate right now. And if there is a question or a doubt, it's strictly, I just have to watch it and ignore it now. And I think like, well, I'll call Rick, and had a conversation with him today. I call people that I know that will true me, you know, in the sense of Don Stevens. I get if I'm thinking a wrong path, if I'm doing that, if there's a little unclarity. But when there's unclarity, it's not in my heart. My heart is always clear, but I have to just shut up and let God. So that's where I'm at. And it's just wonderful to hear that, you know, after the years that he has pulled me towards him in this lifetime, that I'm finally surrendering more and 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 more to him. So thank you all. You all offer a lot of great, wonderful support to everything that we all walk along this path to ourselves with. Jai Baba.
Yeah, thank you. Beautiful. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're all in the same boat here, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally the same
More
boat.
leaks in the boat than we bargained for.
Oh God.
Meher Prasad. Meher Prasad.
Yes, yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
All right, cool. Yeah, so I thought I'll share my views on this and what I go through. I feel that the decisions that I make, whatever I go through and how it is done is far, far less important. But the most important thing for me is attributing it to Baba, because that's the main thing I focus on every morning and every night, entrusting him, and if I entrusting thoughts, words, and deeds to him. And if I truly believe in that, I have to believe that everything that I'm thinking is he doing it through me. So I do use to the best of my abilities and go through whatever decisions that I make. And then if I have some conflicts and stuff, and sometime that that I have to deal with, I just let it unfold and trust that Baba will guide me at the right. So that's what I do. But there are two things that really help me to remember in this aspect. One is Charles Haynes' talk that he gave once, where he quoted Bayezid saying that, and I have that quote actually. He said that Bayezid said that at the beginning I was mistaken in 4 respects. I concerned myself to remember God, to know him, to love him, and to seek him. And when I had come to the end, I saw that he had remembered before I remembered him, that his knowledge of me had preceded my knowledge of him. His love towards me had existed before my love for him, and he had sought me before I had sought him. So Charles Haynes had given this quote, and he said that normally in the world, the way things happen is that we think about something, we make a decision, we do things, and something happens as a result. That's the normal way of things that happen in the world. But from Baba's angle, that's not how things happen. There is something that has already been decided, and then the thought enters our head and we act, and the result happens. So that's one thing that really stuck in my head. And the second thing was, in one of his talks, Darwin said that Sam Cohen, who was apparently in California or somewhere, I don't know. Sam Cohen told Darwin Shah once that when Baba came to US, he asked Sam Cohen what he was doing. And Sam said that, nothing, Baba, I'm not doing anything. And Baba told him, would you go to Mexico and stay there for 6 months?
Yeah.
And Sam said, yes, Baba, I will do that. And what should I do there when I go there? And Baba said, I don't care. And, Darwin Shah said that it doesn't matter what we do. It's more important that we are basically doing whatever he tells us to do. And that is as long as we remember that and attribute everything to him, I think whatever decisions we are making have far less value.
Excellent.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Sam was a bit of a mystic, and so wherever you put him, he's basically most of his life is an internal communion with Baba. So yeah, you could put him in Antarctica. It would help. I mean, just that type of guy. Okay, we got 2 more, and then I guess it's getting kind of late. Okay.
Tony.
Hi. So it's been interesting and it's been fun tonight. I wanted to talk about one thing, which I will, but first, I have all these methods of making decisions that everybody's been sharing, and I resonate with just about all of them, well, except for the tarot cards, whatever it was. But what I want to bring up is the times that Baba creates situations where it's crucial, it's urgent, it's important, and you make a good decision based on all your best lights and experience and intuition, and it doesn't help. And maybe it makes things worse. And
Oh,
you try
God.
again, and the more you try, the worse it gets until you realize I can't make any decision at all. There's nothing I can decide. And somehow, and still you make little decisions, you say certain prayers, whatever. But it's clear that Baba wants me to go through hell at that time and to have to admit like complete and total helplessness. So that's one facet of decisions that I think hadn't come up. I'm sure we've all had some taste of that. Anyway, what I did want to respond to was Marta's comments about just to, in shorthand, describe it, differing with the Mandali. And I've had some experience with this. I had a wonderful, wonderful relationship with Mani, bond with Mani. And still, there was one point that things got very difficult. I'll share in my poetry feature, by the way, some of this Mani stuff. But the first thing is that Erich said there was a time where Baba was not responding to questions. He was not responding to correspondence. And he said, ask Erich, ask Adi. They've been with me for years. My Mandali know how I like things, and they'll give you good advice. But take it as advice from Adi and Erich, not as advice from Baba. And the implication was clear. You still have to check in with me inside and make your decision based on that. And so I had an experience like that. I was in India at the time when Merwan prodded Erich to reveal something. And Erich said, well, I guess Baba has brought about the time to let this out. And he told a story that became very controversial about what he said was Baba breaking his silence in Mandali Hall, putting his hand over his mouth, exactly as he said in the discourse in Stay with God. I'm going, like that. It was startling when Erich. And when we came out, and it was astonishing. Now, of course, Baba's breaking of his silence, that was the physical part. I never took that to be the more universal aspect. But I said that's what Baba said he would do in that discourse, and that's exactly what he did. But we got outside, and it turned out that Nadia Walinska had been taping, and someone hearing when Erich started this said, tape it. She had finished the tape, but she flipped it over. She made a recording, and we got outside, and there were a dozen of us on the bench, and everyone had a different story about what Erich had just said. And it was important. And my job at the UN involved going in, often without a tape recorder or anything, taking notes on an important press briefing, some head of state, once was Jesse Jackson, different. And I had to get it right. I had the tape for backup, but in a very brief time, I had to report responsibly what they actually said. So I knew what Erich had said. And everyone's asking Nadia for the tape. And I didn't want the tape. I said, I happen to have a private room, the only time ever at the Pilgrim Center. I said, can I borrow the tape overnight? I want to make a transcript. And I did. And meanwhile, Alaba had a very different opinion about what Erich said, and Bao came over to the Pilgrim Center, and he had a different opinion. And that was fine. I get back to New York, and I'm at a meeting and some people are coming back from India, and they're telling what Erich said. And again, it's all not what Erich said. And I happened to mention I had a transcript. And I know that's not what Erich said. This is what he said. Someone we know who publishes a journal wanted my transcript. And I said, and I said, no, do you have permission? That's what I said. Do you have permission? Yes, I have blanket permission, which I believe he did, to anything that's said in Mandali Hall. I said, and still it wasn't, still, I said, will you let me write the article? No, I didn't agree yet. But then he said, if you don't give me your transcript, I'm going to print the story that they're telling me. And I knew for posterity that would be the wrong thing going out to the world. So I said, you have permission? I said, all right, if you promise that you'll let me write the article surrounding the transcript. I said, because Bao has different opinions, Alaba has different opinions. He said, absolutely. To not sensationalize it. When it came out, all the stuff I had written about the other people's opinions had been cut out, edited out, and the heading was, true to his promise, he has broken his silence, Erich says. So all of India was in an uproar. I didn't know about that. But I get home one day and there's a letter from Mani in my mailbox. And I'm so thrilled to open it. And I open it and she says, I wonder if you're aware about all the trouble you've caused in just about the whole Baba world through your irresponsible actions. Not only did you give this thing to Nashwan, sorry. But you beat the tom-tom all around. And Tony, I would never have expected this of you. And some of you who know my experience with Anna Rosa Karish, who was not a nice person, Mani suddenly says to me, I'm sorry if I'm speaking to you in Anna Rosa fashion, but it seems she's the only one you can understand. Whoa. So now I knew I was good with Baba on what I had done. I checked in with Baba at every step. I was really clear it was okay. So I wrote back to Mani and I said, that's not how it happened, and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And no, I think this first note, I said that, but then I quoted a Jim Reeves song, the whole lyric of a Jim Reeves song. I've been accused, convicted, and condemned. The trial's over and now I face the end. Is this your way of telling me we're through when all I'm guilty of is loving you? You were the judge, the jury, all in one. You found me guilty and now my term's begun. I must confess I've never been untrue and all I'm guilty of is loving you, and now I'm losing you for things I didn't do. Please let your heart consider an appeal. For now you know exactly how I feel. Don't punish me for things I didn't do when all I'm guilty of is loving you. Some time passes. This person gets a letter from Erich also that's saying, you and Tony Paternetti did this. You and Tony Paternetti. I get another note from Mani in response to my Jim Reeves answer. She says, your heart has never been in question. Your love has never been in question. So my heart says, okay. But my mind still says no, okay, because after all, you did this and you never. And I thought, okay, Baba, I would like to be okay with Mani, but I know I'm okay with you on this. 2 years pass. I get to go to India at a time of great crisis in my life, transition and stuff. And I need to just be with Baba to work out this situation. And I arrive in Nagar, and one resident after another is saying, wow, you're really brave to come here. Ooh, wow. Even after that article, and wow, you have the courage to come here. And I'm thinking, what are they talking about? I get there. It's a big deal still, 2 years later. I get there, and I go to Baba's porch, and Mani is there. And when we're dismissed for lunch, I guess, Mani steps down the steps right by where I'm standing. And I, like I said, I had a close relationship with Mani. And I said, Jai Baba, Mani. And she said, Jai Baba. Very curt, polite, chilling. I walked away. I said, Baba, I know I'm okay with you. I'd like to be okay with Mani, but, this is what matters. Afternoon passes. We're all leaving. Mani comes over to where I'm standing, and at some point she sees me and she goes, I'm sorry. I left out something. The next thing was Mondley Hall. And I waited. Erich was talking to someone. I went up to him, and before I could say anything, he said, it's you! And he approaches as if he's about to strangle me. And then he gives me this big bear hug, and we both laugh. Okay, so I'm good now with Erich, but Mani, it's not seeming so good. We're leaving. It's like 5 o'clock, whatever the time was. And Mani is near me, and she sees me, and she goes, oh, Jay Baba. And she gives me a big hug. And she says, I didn't recognize you. Well, I had lost about 60 pounds since my prior visit. So when she did that polite Jay Baba, she had no idea who I was.
Uh-huh.
But I had to stand with Baba and trust my inner connection and relationship with Baba. And I know Baba wanted that. And Mani remained super close and intimate in various ways till almost to the day of her passing. But I had to sort of stand up to her, like say, no, Mani, I'm okay with Baba on this.
Yeah.
So that's a lesson that some of us have had to learn.
Excellent. Wow, beautiful. Beautiful story.
Gail?
Jay Baba, one and all. I know it's getting late. I was going to say, I think I've gotten an answer, but I know I've gotten an answer during this meeting. For the last year, my best friend of 29 years, that I know so clearly because I met her when I was pregnant with my second son. And she's changed. And at one point, just things have been different. And this is somebody I've celebrated every holiday with since, for the last 25 years or something. My mother died at 69. And so, I mean, we've just been close. And her husband died of alcoholism during the last year. I'm not sure when, probably maybe April or something. And I'm thinking she's kind of going down that same direction. And I kept thinking, at one point I wrote her this apology letter because she just stopped speaking to me. And I'm like, we haven't even ever had a disagreement. And I wrote her a letter where I apologized for everything except Hurricane Ian. And she wouldn't even read it. And it's been very, very, very painful and troubling. I've just never seen this, but alcohol does bad things to people. I've been in Al-Anon a long time, and what I do know about Baba is Baba sometimes, what Baba can do for us what we can't do for ourselves. And I mean, I just think, I'm not sure I have it in me to watch somebody else drink themselves to death. And so I think, I know during this meeting, as I've been listening to others and their process, I'm hearing, not in words, but a no, hard no, stop, just stop. That I've been just figuring, well, maybe there's an angle, and I know that she, I know she's been at her brother's in Sacramento. So I thought, well, maybe that's changed things, but I'm just getting just stop now. And as painful as that is, Baba's Baba and everybody else is everybody else, no matter how dear or attached. And I've always thought we were attached in a good way. We had planned to live together after he died. And now I believe I have my answer. So sometimes meetings, you never know when Baba's going to speak up. And there seems to be a clarity that there's nothing I can do. And that it's time to stop trying, and it's time to heal rather than live in the pain of the dissolution of an important relationship, a very important relationship. So I guess this time I can say, I guess I've got my answer. hard as it may be, it's a clarity. So thanks.
Yeah. No, this whole late night chat was just for you. No, I'm just
Sorry
joking.
to put you through it, guys.
No, thank you. That was beautiful, Gail. Wonderful. Hey, well, let's have a few moments of silence. Well, let's see if Mayor Prasad has a final quote for us, and then we'll have a few moments of silence. Mayor Prasad, you have something in there?
I don't have anything ready, but let me see.
What if there's anything on there are intuitions of the heart. Or that one quote that I like about the calm of the mind. This is a very good quote if you can find it.
Yeah. Let's see.
We can have the silence beforehand and then we'll have the quote at the end. Jai Baba. Let's have, even if Mayor Prasad, if you can't find it, we'll have Nasreen send us all off.
Yeah, I've the calmness one.
Well, good.
Here it is. Amidst intense activity, if there is absolute calmness of mind, that is the highest.
You're breaking up a little bit.
I'm on the phone, so.
Oh, try it again.
Okay. Amidst intense activity, if there is absolute calmness of mind, that is the highest love.
Yeah.
Are you able to hear that?
Yeah, that was perfect.
Okay.
Yeah. And
Will
when
he repeat it? Will he repeat it?
Yeah. Once again, Mayor Prasad. Yeah.
Yeah. Amidst intense activity, if there is absolute calmness of mind, that is the highest love.
And it's the state where you make the best decisions too. Okay, well, Jai Baba, everyone, great. Thank you for sharing. You know, we're all in the same boat with having to make some decisions, especially certain critical moments. And yeah, it's nice to see how people try to get Baba's guidance. Yeah, Jai Baba. Wow.
Hey, Baba.
Yeah.
Jai Baba. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah,
Wonderful meeting.
Yeah, much love.
Much
Jai
love
Baba.
to you all.
Yeah, Jai Baba.
Mayor Baba ki jai.
Yeah, Mara.
Badar Meher Baba ki jai.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Take care all. Nazreen.
Avatar meher baba kije. Avatar meher baba kije. Avatar meher baba kije. Jai Baba.
Hey, Bob.
We need to bottle that. Yeah.
Like Derek Jeter taped his introduction after the man's death, and we got it covered. Keep the tape going. If that makes any sense to anybody but New Yorkers, I don't know.
Not even this New Yorker, but I'm not a big sports guy.
Oh, it was just after one of the announcers got done he introduced them all the time when he passed and when they went to the new stadium. Derek Jeter had oh, never mind. Just, tape it and you're good to go. Never mind.
Okay, well, all right, folks. Okay.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you. Thank